Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. On today's episode, my guests are Chris Lewis, Executive Director of the Songbook Academy, a summer-intensive music program for high school students, under the auspices of the Great American Songbook Foundation, headquartered in Carmel. Accompanying him is Izzy Casiani, a current Academy participant. Join me now as I go on the aisle for my conversation with Chris and Izzy. Hello, Izzy Casiani and Chris Lewis. Welcome to my podcast.
Thanks for having us, Tom.
And so it's coming up, the great event that you have been in charge of for how many years now?
Well, this is the 15th year of the program, and I came in it in the third year, so my 12th year.
Well, I have to say to my audience that the Songbook Academy is one of my favorite arts events, and I have covered it since the beginning. And when would that have been, Chris?
So the very first event was in 2009, and they had events in 2009 and 10, and so you were probably at those events. One was at Butler, and one was at University of Indianapolis.
I don't remember being at the very first inaugural event, but I certainly was at the University of Indianapolis, and Julia Bonet took the crown. Is that right?
That's right. Julia Bonet was our first songbook ambassador, and And then I joined the organization in 2011. They didn't have it in 2011 when the Palladium opened, and we moved into to the Palladium. Was the first time the foundation had a brick and mortar home, and so they took a break from the programs while they got settled here. And then I was brought on in 2011 to revive the program and expand, and that's when we really expanded it to a national program.
And you were promoted to executive director when?
In 2017. I came on to run the Songbook Academy and then became director of programs and eventually executive director.
Okay, and Izzy, tell me about yourself. When are you currently one of the All-Stars, or were you in a past class, if you will?
Sure. So I was in the Songbook Academy 2022, and that was the year that we didn't do it competition style. So it was a little bit different of an environment, but it was, in my opinion, even better, I feel like. And that's how it goes now. But yeah, I was an alum from the 2022 year, and I'm back here, and I'm super excited.
So you're in this year's group, right? Am I hearing that correctly?
She's an alum and a current student. And then she's also a local celebrity, Tom. I don't know. Izzy has starred in many productions locally, and then she's heading off to NYU, I believe, in the fall, right?
Oh, yes. Wow. So I take it that you live locally. Where do you live, and where did you go to school and all of that?
Yeah, so I live in Zionsville right now. I went to Zionsville High School, and now I'm moving to New York City in the fall to study musical theater.
Zionsville has a reputation for turning out all-stars, doesn't it?
It's a great program. Well, we're fortunate. As you know, students come from all over the country for the program. But Indiana is right up there because we have such high-quality programs here at Carmel, Zionsville, Westfield.
Oh, yeah. Well, that says a lot about the Midwest, and it says a lot about the support of the arts, although some would argue with that. But, I think from my point of view, that we have a really vital arts community or culture, if you will. So, Chris, for our listeners who know nothing about the Songbook Foundation and the Songbook Academy, so give us a primer, would you?
Sure. So the Songbook Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was founded by the singer Michael Feinstein back in 2007. And our mission is to inspire and educate by celebrating the American songbook. And so we do that in a variety of ways. A key part of our mission, and really the one that's least visible, but it's kind of the root of everything we do, is our preservation efforts. And we have an archives facility here in Carmel where we house over 300 collections of the papers and music of some of our country's greatest songwriters and lyricists and performers. Our archives, the collections in our archives represent everybody from Meredith Willson, who wrote The Music Man, to Nelson Riddle and Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby and Ella Fitzgerald and Stephen Eady. We really cover that foundational era of American popular music. So that's the heart of what we do, those preservation efforts. We make those materials available to researchers. We work with researchers all around the world. We just hosted an international conference of musicologists and film historians. But then programs like the Songbook Academy are how we fulfill our mission in other ways. A key part of the effort to make sure this music and its history continues to stay relevant is to make sure young people know about it. And so we treat this as a real foundational program where students who want to pursue musical theater, like Izzy, have a base. A lot of the students that come to us want to be Broadway stars, but maybe the extent of their knowledge is Hamilton or Wicked. You're right. But when they're here, they're singing Rodgers and Hammerstein and Irving Berlin and Cole Porter. And so that's how we fulfill our mission. But the Academy, which is now, like I said, in its 15th year, is a true performance intensive. This is a program where students get the quality of education like they might get at Young Arts or Interlochen or Grammy Camp. They're getting to work with top-notch mentors and educators. This year alone, we have educators from Juilliard and NYU and CCM and University of Michigan. So they're getting to work with these incredible mentors, one-on-one instruction for an 8-day program. And then what makes us unique is that we do focus on that foundational era of pop music. So the music the students are singing is coming from that early to mid 20th century. Those composers I mentioned, the Gershwins and Irving Berlin and Dorothy Fields and all the great songwriters and lyricists. Again, not every student that comes through the program ends up being a performer, but just, a lot of them do. And this year alone, we've had students on Broadway in shows like Sweeney Todd and Kimberly Akimbo, and on national tours of Mean Girls and Fiddler on the Roof and Six. So it's exciting to see, and you've been there since the beginning too, Tom, to see the history of the program and where these students go and what they do after they leave here. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's always exciting. When I watch the Tonys, I wonder to myself, hey, I wonder if any of those kids or any of those performers have been to Songbook. I would not be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
For a fact, people have been through the Songbook who are performing, right?
Yeah, well, Nina, just this year. So, yes, you did see students this year on the Tony Awards and last year, too. Nina White, who was here several years ago, was in Kimberly Akimbo, which won the Tony. And they got to perform. And Kiri Corder, who you would have seen back in 2012 or 13, she was just in Sweeney Todd, and she's going to be here next week to talk to the students.
Oh, that's wonderful. And Izzy, from your point of view, how has this opportunity, the former one and the one that you're going to be involved in next week, how has it affected your artistic life?
Sure. Well, like Chris said, we're focusing on the golden age of music. And I think that has been really eye-opening for me because, we're surrounded by so much pop music, and especially with like social media nowadays, there's lots of things we can take in. And I feel like it's easy to miss some of the older things. So just getting to broaden my horizon with that genre of music has really opened up my music taste and everything, but also the opportunities with performing that they've given me afterwards has been really amazing. They always do a Christmas and holiday open mic kind of thing, and those little opportunities and bigger ones have been really fulfilling throughout my years in high school, and I know that they continue to support even after that, which is really huge and unique.
Tell my audience about how special. One of the things that I've loved watching, and every time we talk, Chris, we bring this up, the other feature of the Songbook, the whole network that has been developing now for the last 10 years of you performers staying in touch with each other via groups and texts and whatever. Have you been doing that consistently, Izzy, since the last Songbook Academy?
Oh, sure. I mean, even though it's just a week, like we make lifelong friendships for sure. I saw a bunch of my songbook friends at college auditions this year, and I have a friend Ava who was also an alumni my year, goes to NYU Tisch too, so I'll see them there, and it's just been really nice to know that you have that group of people who get you and are willing to help you out wherever you're at, and they're all over the country, they're everywhere, so that's huge.
So do they go as far as, for instance, when you land in New York, you're going to network together, give people heads up about certain auditions or spread your name around, all those kinds of things? Does that
Sure.
happen? Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it does, yes.
That's, it's a lot like what they used to call the old boy network. So you guys have got a network too, right?
Yes.
We've got the
Yeah.
alum network, and it is great now. There's enough history where we usually do have students at the schools like NYU, forget it. You've got Ava, but we've got so many alums in the city there that it is like a little network, and we'll try to connect people too. But that happens at all the colleges. I mean, we now have kids from all over the country, so we try to make those connections whenever we can. And then sometimes auditioning for colleges. That's the other thing with this program. You might work with someone who's on the audition panel at the university you want to go to, and you've worked with them and you get to know them. And so it's another, advantage of being a part of this program and this network.
You have students in Chicago and LA as well.
Oh, Chicago, LA, New York, Florida. This year we've added states that we haven't had before. I think Utah, we have a student coming from Utah. So we pretty much covered just about the 50 states, at least the 48 continental states. But yeah, we have students all over.
You've always had representation and you've always been inclusive and diversity. Is that any different this year?
No, it's always been a goal, but I will tell you, Tom, and I appreciate you saying that because it is inclusion is one of our core values here at the Songbook Foundation. It's something we try to live up to, every day. But several years ago, we really set a goal for ourselves with the program to make it more inclusive and more diverse because we heard from the students. We heard the students because, we surveyed the students after the program every year, and that's how we grow and expand the program is learning what worked and what didn't and what students want. And what we heard from them is they wanted a program that was more representative. They wanted to see themselves in the organization and the program. And so we made a conscious effort to expand our staff and our network. And I think that is clearly obvious in the staffing of the last few years. I mean, we have, a lot of diversity coming in all facets, from, racial diversity to genre and area of focus and skills. And so I'm proud of that. Of course, there's always so much more we can do and will do, but it is a primary goal of ours. And I appreciate you noticing that and commenting on that, but it is something we work very hard at.
Well, yes, because of my own background, I definitely keep an eye on representation, and I'm thrilled to see that this was even going on. It didn't start with Black Lives Matter, but things got sped up. Don't you agree with the Black Lives Matter movement? The theater has always been in the vanguard of change, but I think, locally, even like the IRT and Phoenix City, the other professional theaters were doing it before that started. So I'm really happy. And, Chris, I was really impressed with the fact that, what you just said, you're trying to make the whole organization inclusive. And I saw that Joshua Henry is going to be your celebrity masterclass.
Yeah.
He's going to be up there with Michael, correct?
He is. And Joshua has been on our wish list for many years. And,
Well, he's got some great credits too.
Oh,
I've heard his name, but all I had to do is take a look at his bio and it's like, okay, now I know who that is.
Amazing, amazing voice, fine actor. And we are really thrilled to have him here. And I believe he and Michael have worked together. At least I know they know each other. So it's going to be fun to see them on the stage together at the masterclass, which is Tuesday this year at 2:00 here at the Palladium. And it's a free event. So anyone who wants to see Joshua Henry and also wants to see the Songbook Academy, what happens during the week, it's the best example. Michael Feinstein and Joshua Henry will work with 10 students from the Academy. They're randomly selected students, but they get to work on the stage with Michael and Joshua. They sing on the stage of the Palladium. We always have hundreds of people that attend, but it's a wonderful event and a great way to experience the program.
For me as a critic, it's especially one of the most rewarding events for me. And I really, over the years, have encouraged people to check it out. If they want to see what's behind the curtain, that's a really good place to see people, how they work at their craft. And just I learned so much. As you know, I have my own production company. So myself and Dustin, my music director, we often go together, and it's a great education for us on expectations for performers and technique and artistry and how to interpret a lyric, even how to hold a mic, how to work the stage. Those are all things that I don't know because I'm associated with it directly, but I think just the typical audience member will really find it fascinating. Do you get that kind of feedback from people?
Yeah, the people that come to those events, and we do have a loyal following. And I think Izzy will back me up on this, but I always say to people, so many people love the show. The vinyl show always sells out, and it's one of the most popular shows here at the Palladium. But for many people, that's all they know of the Academy. And I always say the final show is great and it's wonderful, but the magic happens earlier in the week, right, Izzy? When you're in those little sessions in the studio theater and somebody has that breakthrough moment and everybody cheers, and that's the magic of the program. And so you do that on the stage. And Michael in particular, Michael Feinstein, has really this unique ability to find the one thing that can transform a performance. He's such a wonderful interpreter of lyrics. And so he sometimes can hear or see something and with one comment make a change that is transformative and the audience feels it. But do you agree with that, Izzy?
Oh, yeah.
Things that he said to me in just like a short 30-minute session I've kept with me all these past few years and will for the rest of my life, probably.
Yeah.
Izzy, you were in the top 10 the year you were there?
So we don't do top 10 anymore,
but back then, were you in when it was competition?
No, so actually my year was the first year that we did non-competition style.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
We still used to kind of highlight different performers and showcase ourselves, which was really great. And I got to perform at the final showcase, which was really a privilege.
Okay, great. What did you sing?
I sang Stormy Weather.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite songs. Yeah. So, Chris, who are the kids from? I mean, just generally from all over the country?
Yeah.
You mentioned that there are new states. You mentioned new states, but
yeah, we have 14 states represented this year. And so we do have several from the Midwest, from Indiana and the Midwest, but then both coasts are represented. We've got students from Texas and Louisiana. We've got students from Georgia and Florida and Utah. So it's a real representative group of students this year.
And where do you put them up? Where are you putting them up this year?
Students always stay at Butler University, which is great. Butler's been a great partner since the beginning, really, almost the very beginning. And they stay at Butler, and then we bring them up here every morning for breakfast, and then we don't leave the campus until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and they get to go back to the dorms and have a little social time and start all over again.
So, Izzy, since you live locally, do you reside with your fellow students on campus?
Yes, I do. I think that it's honestly really fun. I've had a few people ask me that, like, well, you could just drive there yourself, but
right. You want to be involved in the whole kind of event,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Tell me what that's like.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
Do you get any sleep? I mean,
surprisingly, yes. When you put a bunch of music nerds together, they're very conscious about their vocal health. So people go to sleep.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So I've interviewed students in the past, and they talk about how coming to the academy, it's like they find their tribe. Many of them may have seen themselves as misfits because there wasn't anybody that they could relate to. As you said earlier, a lot of younger people are into alternative music and hip hop and rock, and And so you're kind of like a fish out of water, and then you come to the Songbook Academy and you find your tribe, your people. Is that right? Was that the way it was for you?
Of course, yeah. It's amazing to get a bunch of people that are so different and yet are so alike with their passion for music and especially jazz and golden age. I mean, it's such a unique opportunity that I really don't think you can find elsewhere, and it connects a lot of like-minded and hearted people, and it's really wonderful.
Is there a lot of shop talk that goes on?
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
I mean, do you guys like talk about composers and songs or
Oh, for sure.
that kind of stuff? Nerd stuff, musical theater stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of it. Yes.
Yeah, and do you find that many of those other students that's their first discovery of standards, or is it run the gamut?
I think it runs the gamut. In the very beginning, the whole purpose of the program was really to expose young people to this music as really a way to keep it alive. What we found early on was that there were many students who already knew the music. They just didn't have an outlet. These were students who didn't have the musical style for American Idol or those shows, but they loved this music. So we really leaned into that. And I think now what's exciting is because the program has grown to what it is in terms of just what students get here. So students come here for a lot of reasons. Some come because they love the songbook. Some come because they want to work with celebrity mentors. Some come to build a resume because you get quality instruction here with top-notch mentors. And so, what we're finding is that there is a good mix here. There's students who love the music and they're passionate about it. And then there's students who actually learn one or two songs from the songbook just to come to the program, like they didn't know it. And then so when they're here, they learn, more about the history. And we do spend some time doing that. We take the students over to the archives. We give them a tour. We show them the collections. They get to see things that belong to Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald. And so we immerse them in the history. But it runs the gamut. They're songbook nerds like me, and that's how I would have been in high school. And then there are students who come here to learn the music.
And of course, do a lot of the students, did they by any chance grow up listening to it from their parents or their grandparents? Well, I would think this generation is more their grandparents. Is that the case?
Yeah, we hear those stories all the time. Students who grew up hearing this music in the car when their parents were driving and, had control over what everybody was listening to or had a record collection and listened to it. But I'll tell you something, Tom, as the father of teenagers myself, students are finding it in a number of ways, not just from home. They're hearing it. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere.
Possible, though, with that, a lot of that development has come directly from Songbook Academy students over the years who use social media. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, we always say we're
a network.
Yeah, we always say we're planting seeds. So you're right. You never know how things will come to fruition.
Well, it just proves that the music is timeless. So, Chris, for the audience's sake, for those who have no idea what the Great American Songbook is, tell us about it.
Sure. Well, I get this question a lot, and I always start by saying, first of all, people really argue over the definition of the Great American Songbook, but I'm going to give you the official one because we're the Great American Songbook Foundation. First of all, that phrase, that title, we really don't know where it came from. No one can pinpoint exactly where that term originated, the Great American Songbook. It's come to mean a lot of different things. For us, it just means music that lasts beyond the time that it was written. And that's the part people argue about. Scholars will argue, is it 50 years? Is it 70 years? We don't get bothered by that. It's if a song is still being sung and recorded and enjoyed years after it was written, it becomes a part of the fabric of our lives, the soundtrack of our lives. So by that definition, it's still being written. And if you want to say that parameter is 50 years, right? Well, that's the 70s. So then you're talking about people like Carole King and James Taylor and Billy Joel, who've all written songs that are standards, Barry Manilow, songs that are still sung and enjoyed and reinterpreted today. So we celebrate all of American popular music. It's really the ever-evolving American Songbook. our purpose as an organization, and so the mission of the programs like the Songbook Academy, are to focus on what we call the foundational era or golden age of popular music. It's really where it all began. And that's the 1920s through the 1960s. That foundational era is really, you can trace anything we listen to today back to that time, whether it is hip hop or country or jazz. It all comes from that period and that time. And so we focus our preservation efforts and educational efforts on the foundational era, but we celebrate all of American popular music.
We can say definitively that it did originate in America, correct?
The Great American Songbook,
a great deal of it derived from African American culture, did it not?
Yeah, I was going to say it's influenced by the very fabric of America, right? But this music in this time is America's contribution. I think it was Tony Bennett who used to say the Great American Songbook is America's classical music. So it is our contribution to the world, while influenced by many different cultures and
exactly.
The fabric of this country.
And I don't know if Michael Feinstein, if he came up with this, but he also often answers the question about what do you consider Great American Songbook. He says anything that stands the test of time.
That's really it. That's really it. We give an example. We have an exhibit here at our Palladium office, which is open every day, 10 to 4, and free to the public. So anybody who's looking for something to do can come visit our exhibit. But we have an interactive touch screen there with different music and different things you can explore. But one of the examples we used to give to kind of talk about that, to illustrate that point, is the song Blue Skies, which was written in 1926, I believe, by Irving Berlin. And so we'll play the Doris Day version, which is the quintessential swing version of Blue Skies, right? It's exactly what you think of when you think of Great American Songbook. But right next to it, we've got a recording of Willie Nelson singing it in 1976 with his Grammy-winning album, Stardust. And it sounds like a completely different, it sounds like a Willie Nelson song. And so when you think about that and how that song stood the test of time and could be reinterpreted, I mean, that's the key part, is can it be sung? This period of time, the songwriters were the stars. A Jimmy Van Heusen or Johnny Burke or, Irving Berlin would write a song and everybody sang it. Now, Frank Sinatra might end up with the quintessential version of it, but everybody sang the song. Today's pop music is different. The songs are written by or for specific artists. And I don't know that people are covering Taylor Swift's music, or Lady Gaga. Those artists, their songs are theirs and written for and by them for their lived experiences. So we'll know in 20, 30, 40 years if they're part of the Great American Songbook, if people are singing and reinterpreting their songs.
So, Izzy, what's your guess about Taylor Swift's music?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, obviously she's highly popular, and I myself am definitely a fan of her song.
And Beyonce too. Two of the biggest pop stars in the world.
I guess there's no way of knowing until later on.
It's fun. It's fun to think about, though, right? It's what Chris just said about standing the test of time. What's popular today, is it going to hold up? Will other people be covering that into the decades? It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. You're a great example of the quality of performers. When I attend those events, Chris, I sit there and I'm dumbfounded because I've been covering the arts for 40 years. I've seen the best, and I'm always astounded. I just try to imagine if I will see those people on stage in New York, and I have, So it's a marvelous, marvelous thing. Michael's vision, and this is his favorite activity, and he looks forward to it, of all the incredible things that he does. This academy is nearest to his heart, and he regards the All-Stars as his kids. He said, I don't have any kids, but these are who I regard as my children. So
he enjoys working with the students, and he's never said this, but I kind of liken it to his experience. When he was 19 or 20, he got to work with Ira Gershwin for the last few years of Ira Gershwin's life. And that was his hero and mentor. And I I see him working with the students and then the people we bring in, just the mentors we bring in. It's sort of really providing that experience to today's young artists. It impacted his life. And really, those early years, we are the result of that. The starting of this foundation and the preservation work all comes from that time. And so I look at what happens at the Academy very much like that. I think we're providing those opportunities. And sometimes students, you get to work with a lot of people and a lot of feedback. But, sometimes you find that person or you hear that, that nugget of wisdom that changes everything for you. And that's what's exciting.
Izzy, what are your impressions of Michael?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I have to admit the first year I was super scared to meet him because, it's a big name for sure. But he's so nice and so caring with how he delivers his feedback and his corrections and ideas. And it's a really supportive environment when we're working with him one-on-one. And yeah, I couldn't have been happier with how my experience was with him. I'm excited to work with him again for sure.
I'm always interested in those master classes. You can see how, the students, some, not all, are insecure or intimidated when they go up on that stage. I mean, for anybody, now, especially now they have that big audience. So you're not only performing in front of all these people in the Palladium, there's Michael Feinstein and some celebrity. It's like, my God, I can't imagine what their nerves are like. And then on top of that, you've got your peers out there too, which is part of it, isn't it? I mean, I just admire what it takes for the students to go through that. But you see during the course of the master class how their body language changes and their confidence grows. And then if you go to all the events, then you can see how those who are in the master class actually take the direction or the advice that they were given, and you see it in the final performance. That is such a cool thing,
Yeah.
Of course, is that, is my impression on spot, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. And I think if people, I'll just make a plug, but to see what you're talking about, people can come to the show on July 20th. That's the final show, and that's the culmination of the whole week. And it really is, as he alluded to it too, with the changes of the program. This final show now is really a bigger, more expanded show that is really much more mission focused in that it celebrates the songbook. And all 40 students get to sing on that stage. Some have solos, longer solos. Everybody has a solo moment, and they're teams that do these group medleys that celebrate different composers and different themes. We have group numbers, choral numbers, and it's really an extravaganza. And it really is a chance to see the next generation of artists who are going to carry the torch for the American Songbook and whatever they pursue. And you can see that at the Palladium. It's next Saturday, the 20th.
Let's give dates for everything going on and times.
Sure. So I'll start with the first. The public event is on Tuesday, the 16th at 2:00 in the afternoon. That's the public masterclass with Michael Feinstein and Joshua Henry. That's on the stage at the Palladium. It's a free event. You register for tickets or you can get them at the door, but it is a free event.
Do you sit anywhere at that?
I believe they're general admission seats. Yeah.
Okay.
So anywhere. And then Thursday, the 18th, that's the Songbook Showcase. And that we're the evening this year. It's always been in the afternoon, but now it's going to be at 7:00 in the evening. So people can come after work and, kind of broaden the audience. And that is a really wonderful opportunity because that's the only time during the week that every one of the students, all 40 students, will stand on the stage and sing their one big number. And so it's a beautiful lighting, sound, everybody gets their moment to shine. And that night, unlike years past, because we're moving it to the evening and it is more of a show, one of our guest mentors, the Grammy-winning singer and band leader Nicole Zaritis, and Michael Feinstein is going to perform at that show. So you're going to get even more for your donation. And that show is free with a donation ask for that, what you can pay. And then Saturday, the 20th, is the final concert. That's the culmination of the whole week's events. That takes place at the Palladium stage, 10:00. It is a ticketed event, and its tickets can be purchased at thecenterpresents.org, the Palladium website. You can get tickets there, and that really is an extravaganza, and it is one of the most popular shows here at the Center for the Performing Arts.
Chris, I ask you this every time we talk because it's my beat, but I wonder in terms of the exposure you've received over this event, have you captured the attention of more national press?
We do. We get some national press, and this year we have a new communications strategist who is a Songbook Academy alum, by the way, Tom. Madeline Steurer was here in 2015, and now she went away to college, was working, in her career, and now she's back here as our communications strategist. But she's been working to get some press all across the country, wherever the alums are from, and
that's great. When is that documentary about the Songbook Academy happening?
It's funny you mentioned that. We're having talks as we speak. Yeah.
Really? It's long overdue.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something we want to do, and I think it's more the time now, and
Sure.
We've wanted it since the beginning, but I think the direction the program's going, and we have some history, and really what we're doing, we're getting closer to the time to be able to tell that story.
And let's have an update on the Hall of Fame. Talk about that for those who aren't familiar with that being in the works.
Yeah, sure. Well, we have a Hall of Fame, and we induct people every year. And I think you're probably talking about the museum, the actual.
Yeah, I am.
Brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So we are in the process of building a freestanding museum. We just in the last couple of weeks signed an agreement with the city of Carmel for land that's right here across from the Palladium.
Oh, so that's been announced?
It only became really official in the last.
In Carmel. Wow.
Yeah. So we'll be right across the street from the Palladium.
Fantastic.
Which is great. We'll continue, enjoying the synergies and the relationship we have here with the Center for the Performing Arts.
When you say across the street, is that catty corner? Because there's like a housing development right across the street. Am I correct?
Across City Center Drive. So from my office, I can see where it is now. There's a warehouse building, and there's a salon.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
very exciting.
We're excited, and we're a cultural affiliate of the Grammy Museum in LA, and so we've been working with them for a while now, and on preliminary concepts and design plans. So we're just in the early phases of this process. It'll take us several years, but the work has begun, and we're excited and ready for the adventure.
And in the meantime, you're still getting gifts from people all over the world probably now.
Collections, they come in waves, and right now we've just received several collections. We just received the collection of Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet from their family. We have all of their musical charts and arrangements. I don't know how many hundreds there are. We're over 40 boxes that were delivered, but additionally, some costumes of both of theirs. We have a tuxedo ensemble from him and 2 gowns of hers, an Emmy Award for one of their television specials. So that's an exciting one, and that'll be a really significant collection. Got another really exciting one that I can't talk about now, but I've been in talks with the family of a legendary, iconic American songbook composer who wants to make a gift of a very significant artifact. And as soon as I can talk about that, I will let you know, but it's really going to be a crown jewel to our collections.
Chris, you're such a tease.
I know.
Keeping me in suspense year after year. No, I'm thrilled. I'm just absolutely thrilled what that's going to do for tourism for central Indiana, and just another feather in the cap for Indiana and the Midwest.
Yeah, it really will. It'll be a national attraction, and it'll be a place to celebrate, like I said, American music. And everybody, we always talk about everybody has their own songbook. Izzy has hers, I have mine, you have yours. This will be a place where you can come and celebrate your songbook and learn about, the evolution of American popular music, how we got to where we are today.
Izzy, what does the American Songbook, the songs, how do they speak to you? And I know that's a very general question and a broad one, but can you tell me why you were drawn to it?
Sure. I think that.
And by the way, for those who aren't aware, a lot of Broadway music is considered part of that canon, correct?
Yes. Especially the era that we focus on during the Songbook Academy week speaks to me because I think it really marries the musicality and the lyrics and storytelling very well, especially being in musicals, Broadway. Storytelling is really the first aspect, and that's what I always look for in songs that I like to sing, because I think it's really magical to be able to move an audience member through song. And it's a unique thing that people like me and other students are privileged enough to get to do. And so I think that I think that's why I love the Great American Songbook so much, because it really speaks to everyone where they're at.
Who are some of your favorite composers?
That's a great question. I mean, I definitely love like the Berlins and the Meredith Wilsons and all of those that worked on Rodgers and Hammerstein, of course. Just I'm a big musical theater person, so definitely all of those classic ones.
And how about musicals? Can you name some of your favorites?
That's a good question. Speaking of Joshua Henry, who was in the revival of Carousel, I love that music for sure. And Sunday in the Park with George and Into the Woods, all those really speak to me for sure.
I love Carousel. I saw Audra McDonald do it, years ago at Lincoln Center. Anyway, so what are your goals, Izzy, in terms of, you want to go to New York? I presume you want to be on Broadway, but beyond that, how do you envision your career going?
Oh, wow. I mean, trying to go with the flow. It's quite a difficult career to try to plan out from a young age. Definitely auditioning, trying to work as an actor and maybe screen, stage, all of the above. I'm open to it all.
Yeah. Well, so I wish you the best. I'm excited. I hope I get to see you in a show.
I would love that.
I try to make it there a couple of times a year. So, Chris, I wish you well. I'm excited to see your growth in the coming years. Do you see any more growth for the Songbook Academy beyond where you are right now?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. We, for a long time, had the goal and the dream of expanding to include student instrumentalists. Wow. It's kind of our vision and dream to one day have the students, singing on stage and being accompanied by a band made up of students. And so we've got some grants that we've applied for that would help us fund that expansion next year. We'll see. But to start that this year, we just kind of started building relationships and partnerships. And we actually took one of our music directors who came into town early, and one of the students, not an alum, but a student who's worked with us, a local jazz artist here since she was in high school. We took them down to Butler's Jazz Camp to do a clinic. And so we're going to hopefully partner with them in the future and try to work with them on their programs and vice versa, kind of sharing it. We share the same demographic, the same audience. So that was a great first step, but that's our goal.
You have something like a Songbook Academy orchestra.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, that's Michael's dream, is to have a student orchestra. But, it's all part of the same tradition. It's, we started with singers, but that was never the sole intention. What we're trying to do here is foster the talents of the next generation of artists. And the songbook will continue to evolve. So we don't necessarily expect all these students to leave here and only sing the standards. We hope that if they're songwriters and instrumentalists or Broadway actors, they use this to inform whatever they do. Again, this is a tool in the tool belt. This is a foundational technique. And so it's the same with instrumentalists. We want to foster the talents of the artists who can come, like our music directors. It's a unique fit for someone who could come here and do what we ask of our music directors, because they have to be so versatile. They have to play for students that are singing musical theater songs and students that are singing jazz songs and students that are singing pop songs. And so that's a tradition that, we want to preserve and perpetuate as well.
And, speaking of music directors, that's also something I want you to touch on. I mean, those music directors that you bring in are all extraordinary. From their point of view, I'll have to interview them sometime, but from their point of view, what do they get out of it?
Well, they all love, like you talked about Michael earlier. I mean, there's something about teaching, and every one of them will tell you too, they learn from teaching, they learn from the students, but it's that opportunity to mentor and to work with young people and to pass the torch, and we do. Our music directors are the best of the best, and we have some exciting new ones to add to the roster this year. But our music directors have played for everybody from Frank Sinatra and Liza Minnelli and Sammy Davis Jr. to Chuck Berry to Diana Ross. I mean, it's really, it runs the gamut. And so these students get to work with quality professionals. So it's another perk of getting to work with the academy.
You can tell how they bond with one another, these music directors and their students.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You can just see that connection that they all have with their music directors.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring. Well, I love what you do, and I'm thrilled that I get a chance to plug it for all of my listeners. And, now that I have access to a wider audience via the internet, hopefully people everywhere will hear this and get involved. How can they help? How can
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for all you've done to help over the years. You've been such a great champion of the organization and of the Songbook Academy since the very beginning. So thank you, and thank you for what you do for the arts community. As far as the Songbook Foundation, people can visit thesongbook.org to learn all about us. They can learn everything about the exhibits we have, the collections we have, our preservation work, our events. And they can also find ways to support us. And there are a number of ways to support us. Financial support's always great, but we also rely on volunteers to help us, and we rely on collection donors. And so there are many ways to get involved with the organization, but they can learn all about us by visiting thesongbook.org.
They're going to be showing up in Carmel at some point to see the new museum, but in the meantime, you've got a gallery that people might want to visit when they're in these parts, right? Tell them about it.
We do. We have an exhibit here in the Palladium that's in Carmel that's open every day, 10 to 4, and then before shows here at the Palladium. So if you're coming to a concert up here, you can pop upstairs and see it. Our current exhibit is called From the Jazz Age to Streaming, the 1920s and the 2020s. And we really look at those two times, the points in time, and compare them through the lens of music and pop culture. And historically, there were a lot of similarities. There was a global pandemic in the early 1920s, just like the 2020s. There was trouble in the Middle East. There were racial tensions and political stress in the country here itself. So a lot of similarities between the two times. There were also huge advances in technology. Radio came into its own, and so music could be shared on a much broader scale, and people could enjoy music in a different way. The recording process changed how we make music. And then, of course, today we've got the internet and TikTok and YouTube. And so you can come here and learn about that. You can learn about the artists who made a huge impact in both of those eras. So you can learn about Bessie Smith, and you can learn about Taylor Swift and how she's taken on the music industry. So it's a real representation of what we want to do with the museum. You can come in this exhibit and you can explore the classics, and then you can learn about the contemporary artists as well. So it's a real blending of the two.
A lot to experience, Chris, so much. Yeah. And Izzy, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to comment on before I take my leave?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay, well, it's great seeing you. Good luck with your career. You have such talent, and I know that you will achieve a lot. So, and Chris, good luck.
Well, thanks, Tom.
Thank you again for your time. I look forward to seeing you.
You too. Take care. Okay. Be well.
Bye.
Thank you.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.